Welcome. I'm Dr. Gretchen Bleicher, and I'm honored to begin this journey with you. In my years of clinical practice, research, teaching, I've witnessed something profound. When we bring compassion, curiosity, and embodied awareness to our inner lives, our bodies, our energy, and our minds, we create the conditions for deep healing and authentic sexual well-being. This podcast, The Sacred Garden Mandala, is an invitation to cultivate your inner landscape with care, an invitation to explore sexuality as a source of vitality, meaning, and connection, and an invitation to walk this path together, whether you're seeking healing, awakening, renewed intimacy, or a more grounded relationship with yourself. Thank you for being here. Let's begin. Module 2. What is comprehensive holistic sex education? What if sex education could be more than a conversation about anatomy, reproduction, or risk? What if it could become an education in self-awareness, communication, embodiment, consent, emotional intelligence, empathy, relationship skills, and human flourishing? In Module 2 of the audio miniseries adapted from my doctoral dissertation, The Yoga of Sex, a Mystery, shared here on the Sacred Garden Mandala podcast, we explore the foundations of comprehensive, holistic sex education and why information alone is not enough to support sexual well-being. Drawing from peer-reviewed research in the framework of the Yoga of Sex, a Mystery, we'll examine sexuality as a multidimensional experience that includes physical, emotional, relational, social, cultural, and spiritual dimensions of life. Together, we'll explore why sexuality education must go beyond biology, the role of consent, communication, and self-awareness, how embodiment supports authentic decision-making, what young adults need to thrive in the digital age, why holistic sexual wellness education contributes to a compassionate and just society. Join me as we continue this journey from transforming research into living wisdom. May learning become awareness. May awareness become wisdom. Module 2. What is comprehensive holistic sex education? Welcome back to A Mystery on the Sacred Garden Mandala podcast. As we begin, take a moment to notice your breath. Notice the sensation of being supported by the surface beneath you. Notice the simple fact that you are here. In our first module, we explored why sexual wellness education matters now. We considered the reality that many young people receive fragmented, incomplete, fear-based, or shame-based messages about sexuality. We also reflected on the possibility that sexual wellness education can support healing, connection, dignity, compassion, and human flourishing. In this module, we'll explore a foundational question. What is comprehensive holistic sex education? And perhaps even more importantly, what makes education truly holistic? Why definitions matter. When many people hear the phrase sex education, they often imagine anatomy lessons, reproductive information, disease prevention, pregnancy prevention, or discussions of risk. While these topics are important, comprehensive holistic sex education is much broader. The research reviewed throughout my dissertation demonstrates that sexuality is not simply a biological function. It is also emotional, relational, social, cultural, ethical, psychological, and spiritual. Sexual wellness emerges within a larger ecosystem of relationships, values, identity, community, and meaning. In other words, sexuality does not exist in isolation. It lives within human experience. What the research says. One influential definition describes comprehensive sexuality education as providing young people with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values needed to understand and enjoy their sexuality physically, emotionally, individually, and relationally. It recognizes that information alone is not enough. Young people also need opportunities to develop life skills and explore their own values. Another major framework describes sexuality education as age-appropriate, scientifically accurate, culturally relevant, and non-judgmental, while supporting decision-making, communication skills, and self-reflection. The World Health Organization further describes sexuality education as involving the cognitive, emotional, social, interactive, and physical dimensions of sexuality. Taken together, these perspectives reveal something important. Comprehensive sexuality education is not merely about preventing negative outcomes. It is also about cultivating positive sexual well-being. Beyond information. Imagine learning to play a musical instrument. Would reading a book about music be sufficient? Probably not. You would also need practice, reflection, feedback, self-awareness, experience. Sexual wellness education is similar. Knowledge matters, but so do communication skills, boundary awareness, emotional intelligence, empathy, self-reflection, critical thinking, values clarification, consent awareness, embodiment. Without these dimensions, information alone often fails to become wisdom. The core domains of holistic sexual well-being. The A-Mystery curriculum approaches sexuality as multidimensional. We might imagine well-being as a mandala with many interconnected dimensions. Physical well-being, understanding bodies, physical health, reproductive health, pleasure, safety, self-care. Emotional well-being, recognizing feelings, developing emotional awareness, building capacity for empathy, learning self-regulation. Relational well-being, communication, respect, trust, mutuality, consent, conflict resolution, repair. Personal identity, exploring values, identity development, authenticity, self-worth, agency. Social and cultural awareness, understanding how culture influences sexuality, examining social norms, recognizing systems of power and inequality, developing media literacy, spiritual and existential dimensions, exploring meaning, purpose, connection, compassion, awareness, the sacred dimensions of human life. These dimensions influence one another continuously. When one area is neglected, the others are often affected. Young adults and the need for holistic education. Young adulthood represents a unique developmental threshold. It is a period of identity formation, intimacy development, self-discovery, relational experimentation, meaning-making, and growing independence. Many young adults are asking, who am I? What do I value? How do I create healthy relationships? How do I communicate authentically? How do I integrate love and sexuality? How do I care for my emotional and physical well-being? How do I relate to myself with kindness? These are not merely sexual questions, they are human questions. The missing piece, embodiment. A central theme throughout a mystery is embodiment. Embodiment means reconnecting with direct experience, listening to the wisdom of the body, recognizing sensations, feelings, needs, boundaries, inner guidance. Many young people grow up receiving messages about how they should feel rather than learning how they actually feel. Embodiment invites a return to direct experience, a return to self-trust, a return to presence. This is one reason yoga, mindfulness, breath awareness, and contemplative practices are woven into the curriculum. These practices support self-awareness and help individuals reconnect with themselves in compassionate and meaningful ways. A Mystery Curriculum Connection. The A Mystery curriculum extends traditional sexuality education by integrating comprehensive sexual wellness education, embodiment practices, mindfulness, yoga, self-inquiry, relational skill development, compassion-based learning, trauma-informed approaches, awareness of cultural influences, and exploration of consciousness and human flourishing. The intention is not only to teach about sexuality. The intention is to help participants develop the capacities that support well-being throughout life. Guided reflection. Let us pause together. If it feels comfortable, place one hand on the heart and one hand on the abdomen. Take a slow breath and another. Ask yourself and listen to what responds within with these inquiry questions. What messages about sexuality did I receive growing up? Which messages supported my well-being? Which messages limited my growth? What skills was I explicitly taught? What skills was I expected to somehow learn on my own? How might my life have been different if I had received education that included communication, consent, emotional awareness, embodiment, self-compassion, and relational wisdom? Simply notice. No need to judge, no need to fix. We're just observing with kindness. Integration summary. Today we explored comprehensive, holistic sex education as a multidimensional framework that includes physical, emotional, relational, social, cultural, and spiritual dimensions of well-being. We discovered that information alone is not enough. Holistic education helps people develop the skills, awareness, empathy, and wisdom needed to navigate life with greater intention and care. When education becomes holistic, sexuality can be understood not as an isolated topic, but as part of the larger mandala of human flourishing. Thank you for joining me for Module 2. In our next module, we will explore young adulthood as a sacred developmental threshold, a unique period of identity formation, intimacy, self-discovery, relational learning, and spiritual growth. Until then, may you continue listening deeply. May you continue learning compassionately. And may you continue cultivating a relationship with yourself rooted in awareness, dignity, wisdom, and care. Module 3, Young Adulthood as a Threshold of Identity, Intimacy, and Spiritual Growth. Welcome back to A Mystery on the Sacred Garden Mandala podcast. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Allow your attention to soften. Notice your body. Notice your breath. Notice the simple experience of being alive in this moment. In this module, we continue our A Mystery journey by exploring one of the most important periods in human development, young adulthood. This season of life is often described through practical milestones, college, careers, independence, relationships, partnerships, or family formation. Yet beneath these outer transitions lies a profound inner journey. Young adulthood is a threshold, a crossing, a sacred developmental passage where many people begin asking deeper questions about identity, intimacy, sexuality, meaning, purpose, belonging, and love. In this module, we'll explore why this stage of life is so significant, how it relates to sexual well-being, and why holistic sexual wellness education can provide support during this transformative period. Entering the threshold. Throughout human history, many cultures recognize periods of transition through rites of passage. These ceremonial transitions acknowledge that developmental growth is not merely physical. It is psychological, emotional, relational, spiritual, a movement from one way of being into another. In modern society, many traditional rites of passage have disappeared, yet the developmental journey remains. Young adults continue to navigate profound questions. Who am I? What do I value? How do I want to love? How do I want to be loved? How do I know if something feels right for me? How do I create healthy relationships? How do I honor myself while remaining connected to others? What kind of life am I creating? These questions are not signs that something is wrong. They are signs of growth. Identity formation. Research discussed in my dissertation highlights adolescence and young adulthood as periods of identity exploration and self-discovery. During this developmental stage, individuals investigate who they are and how they understand themselves in relation to the world. Identity is not a single thing. It is multidimensional. We hold many identities simultaneously. Personal identities, relational identities, cultural identities, gender identities, sexual identities, professional identities, spiritual identities, Yet beneath all of these expressions is a deeper inquiry. Who am I when external expectations fall away? Many young adults find themselves navigating inherited beliefs from family, religion, culture, peer groups, and media. Some of these messages support well-being. Others may feel limiting, conflicting, or disconnected from lived experience. Part of healthy development involves learning how to examine inherited messages rather than automatically accepting them. The goal is not rebellion. The goal is authenticity. The development of authentic self. My dissertation describes the importance of helping young adults identify authentic responses while exploring conditioning and internalized beliefs that may not align with their well-being. Authenticity is not about becoming someone new. It is about becoming more fully yourself. The process often includes learning to trust your experience, learning to recognize your values, learning to hear your inner voice, learning to distinguish your needs from external pressures, learning to make choices that are aligned with your well-being. Authenticity does not arrive all at once. It unfolds, sometimes slowly, sometimes through challenges, sometimes through relationships that teach us who we are, and sometimes through relationships that teach us who we are not. Love, intimacy, and human connection. Young adulthood is often associated with intimacy development. Many people begin asking, what does love mean? What creates healthy partnerships? How do I communicate honestly? How do I navigate desire, vulnerability, boundaries, and trust? My dissertation notes that young adulthood includes the integration of love and sexuality as part of development. For many people, this may be the first time they intentionally examine their relationship patterns, their expectations, their fears, their attachment experiences, their understanding of intimacy. Intimacy is often misunderstood. Many people equate intimacy solely with physical closeness, yet intimacy is much broader. Intimacy includes being seen, being known, being present, being honest, being willing to reveal ourselves authentically. Physical intimacy may be one expression of intimacy, but emotional honesty, empathy, respect, communication, and trust are equally important. Sexuality and self-worth. Sexual development is deeply connected to self-worth. When young adults are disconnected from themselves, they may struggle to identify their needs, boundaries, desires, and values. When individuals cultivate self-awareness, they become better able to participate consciously in relationships. This is one reason holistic sexual wellness education extends beyond anatomy and physiology. Sexual well-being includes self-respect, boundary awareness, communication, consent, emotional intelligence, empathy, self-compassion, embodiment. All of these capacities support healthy relationships with self and others. Sociocultural influences. Identity development never occurs in isolation. Every individual develops within larger social systems. My dissertation highlights numerous influences that shape identity and sexuality, including family systems, peer relationships, cultural expectations, gender roles, sexual scripts, media influences, and social power structures. Many young adults are simultaneously navigating social media, digital culture, gender expectations, messages about attractiveness, pornography-informed sexual scripts, objectification culture, relationship expectations, pressure to perform, pressure to fit in, pressure to appear successful. These influences can sometimes create confusion about what individuals genuinely feel versus what they believe they are supposed to feel. One purpose of holistic education is helping people to become aware of these influences. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates freedom. Spiritual development in young adulthood. One of the most unique aspects of my dissertation is its recognition that spiritual growth can be part of sexual wellness and human development. Young adulthood is not solely about career development or relationship formation. For many people, it is also a period of meaning making. Questions begin to emerge. What gives my life purpose? What matters most? What values guide me? What does love mean? What is my connection to something larger than myself? This dissertation notes that spirituality often includes themes of self-reflection, meaning-making, intuitive understanding, and connection with the sacred. It also recognizes that spirituality and religiosity are not necessarily the same thing. For some individuals, spirituality may be expressed through religious practice. For others, through nature, through mindfulness, through yoga, through creativity, through service, through contemplative reflection, through experiences of connection and awe. Embodiment as a path of development. A central theme of A Mystery is embodiment. Research reviewed in my dissertation identifies embodiment as an important component of sexual health and well-being. Embodiment means learning to inhabit your life directly, to notice sensations, emotions, intuition, needs, boundaries, desires. Embodiment asks, can I trust what I feel? Can I stay present with my experience? Can I listen to my body? Can I honor what I discover? Many young adults have learned to prioritize external expectations over internal awareness. Embodiment offers another possibility, a return to direct knowing, a return to relationship with oneself, a return to home. Embodiment practices, coming home to yourself. Let us spend a few moments exploring what embodiment actually looks and feels like in practice. When people first hear the word embodiment, it can sound abstract or philosophical. Yet embodiment is profoundly practical. Embodiment is the practice of inhabiting your life directly. It is learning to listen to the wisdom of the body. It is developing awareness of sensations, emotions, energy, intuition, needs, boundaries, and desires as they arise in real time. My dissertation identifies embodiment as an important contributor to sexual well-being and describes positive embodiment as involving awareness of inner states, sensations, emotions, body connection, self-care, protection, and freedom of expression through the body. Disembodiment, by contrast, involves psychological separation or disconnection from the body and self. Many of us were never taught how to listen inwardly. Instead, we learn to focus on external expectations, what others wanted, what others thought, how we were expected to look, how we were expected to behave. Over time, we may become disconnected from our own inner experience. Embodiment practices help restore that connection. Practice 1, the sacred pause. One of the simplest embodiment practices is the sacred pause. Throughout the day, pause for 30 seconds. Take one breath. And then ask inside, what am I feeling right now? What sensations do I notice in my body? What do I need? Can I offer myself compassion in this moment? Over time, it becomes easier to recognize emotions, needs, and boundaries before they are overlooked or ignored. Practice 2, body awareness meditation. Bring your attention to the body without trying to change anything. Simply notice. Notice areas of tension. Notice areas of relaxation. Notice temperature, pressure, movement, comfort, discomfort. Allow yourself to become curious. The goal is not evaluation. The goal is relationship. Many people spend years judging their bodies. Embodiment invites a different approach, listening rather than judging, connecting rather than controlling, understanding rather than criticizing. Practice 3, mindful movement. The A Mystery program integrates yoga and contemplative movement as methods for reconnecting body, energy, and mind. Mindful movement can be as simple as stretching slowly, walking attentively, practicing yoga, breathing consciously while moving, feeling the body's natural rhythms. Rather than performing movement, embodiment asks us to experience movement, to feel ourselves from the inside out. As attention deepens, movement becomes a conversation with the body rather than a task imposed on it. Practice 4, boundary awareness. Embodiment helps us recognize boundaries. Healthy boundaries often begin as bodily information, a tightening in the chest, or a sinking sensation in the stomach, a feeling of expansion, a feeling of contraction, a sense of relaxation or discomfort. Many people have been socialized to dismiss these signals. Embodiment invites us to pay attention. The body often communicates information before the mind can fully explain it. Learning to listen to these signals supports authenticity, consent, and relational well-being. Practice 5, heart-centered awareness. Place one hand over your heart and take several slow breaths. Bring to mind someone you care about. Notice any sensations that arise. Warmth, softness, gentleness, connection. Now bring that same spirit of kindness towards yourself. What would it feel like to relate to yourself with the same compassion you offer someone you love? This practice helps cultivate self-compassion, an essential foundation for both personal well-being and healthy relationships. Embodiment and authentic sexuality. As we deepen embodiment, something important begins to happen. We become more capable of recognizing our authentic experience, our genuine desires, our genuine boundaries, our genuine values, our genuine feelings. Rather than responding automatically to external expectations, cultural conditioning, or relationship pressures, we learn to respond from awareness. My dissertation suggests that embodiment practices support young adults in reconnecting with themselves and differentiating their authentic experience from outside influences. This process is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming present. And presence is the foundation of self-trust. When we trust ourselves, we become better able to create lives, relationships, and expressions of sexuality that reflect who we truly are. As we continue our journey through young adulthood as a developmental threshold, we begin to see that identity formation is not merely a psychological process. It's also an embodied process. The more deeply we learn to listen to ourselves, the more clearly we can navigate intimacy, relationships, sexuality, meaning, and the unfolding journey of becoming fully human. A Mystery Curriculum Connection. The A Mystery curriculum was specifically designed to support young adults during this developmental threshold. Rather than presenting sexuality as an isolated topic, the curriculum approaches sexual well-being through multiple dimensions: body, energy, mind, relationships, culture, identity, compassion, consciousness, self-awareness, spiritual development. Through mindfulness, yoga, contemplative inquiry, reflection, and education, participants are invited to cultivate a deeper relationship with themselves and the systems they live within. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness, because awareness creates the possibility of wise choice. Guided reflection. Let us pause together. If it feels comfortable, place one hand over your heart and take some slow breaths. Ask yourself, who am I becoming? What values matter most to me? What relationships help me grow? What relationships invite me to be more authentic? What messages about love and sexuality have I inherited? Which of those messages genuinely support my well-being? Which of those messages am I ready to release? Where do I feel most connected to myself? When do I feel most alive? What does authenticity feel like in my body? Allow these questions to settle gently. You do not need immediate answers. The purpose is not certainty. The purpose is open curiosity. Integration summary. In this module, we explored young adulthood as a sacred developmental threshold, a season of identity formation, intimacy development, meaning-making, authenticity, spiritual growth, and self-discovery. We examined how personal development unfolds within a larger cultural system and why embodiment, self-awareness, and compassion are essential resources during this stage of life. Most importantly, we explored the possibility that sexuality is not separate from identity, relationships, purpose, or human flourishing. It is part of the larger journey of becoming fully ourselves. Thank you for joining me for Module 3 of A Mystery on the Sacred Garden Mandala podcast. In the next module, we will explore sexual media socialization in the digital age and examine how pornography, social media, digital environments, and contemporary cultural influences shape sexual beliefs, expectations, relational attitudes, and experiences among young adults. Until then, may you trust your unfolding. May you honor your becoming. May you cultivate intimacy with yourself. And may you continue walking this path with wisdom, compassion, and curiosity. The journey continues. And if you'd like to explore this sacred garden mandala practice visually or experientially, I've created a guided video called Personal Sacred Mandala Garden for Sexual Wellbeing. And I know I've shared a lot of information in this episode here. So if you'd like to go to my website, this is freely available, this video, and it includes a gentle mapping practice that integrates the sacred garden mandala, the 5 elements. And it also goes into some things that I'll be sharing in a future episode, the Buddha family and Dakini mandala wisdom, and the mindful model of sexual health, as well as the contemporary research on optimal intimacy. So you can find this on my website at www.healthsosamtherapy.com. And it's under the resources page. And think of this as a companion. It's certainly not homework, but if you'd like more information and some guidance, I'd love for you to find that website, healthsosamtherapy.com. And in future episodes, we'll return to each part of the mandala. So this is, again, a lot to take in. So really, we were going to be revisiting all of these, the structure, the lived experience, and how it might relate in different ways. We'll return all of this again and again. So the center, the inner ring, the outer ring, and we'll explore how they show up in real relationships, real bodies, real lives. So for now, as we close, I want to affirm that you are already whole. Your body is not betraying you. Your inner protectors have valuable information, and you have everything you need, and you are already inside the garden. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Garden Mandala. I'm deeply grateful you spent this time with me. If this episode supported you in any way, I'd love to stay connected. So please follow or subscribe wherever you listen. And if you feel moved to either leave a review or or also to share this with anybody else who might be interested in this kind of information or intimacy education without shame or pressure in a kind of a nature-based way. So please, share this episode with a friend who would appreciate this kind of gentle, body-honoring approach. And for companion resources, please visit my website at healthsasamtherapy.com. And if something resonated, let it be one small seed, so nothing to force. And you are whole. Your body has so much wisdom. Your body is not betraying you. And you are already inside this garden. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.